wish a cool thing, and I wish I'd paid more attention to it today. But today I watched a little documentary about these 3 men who wanted to go to the North Pole in a nitrogen balloon, and it was like, forgive me, I don't remember the year, but it was around the time when they thought you could go to the North Pole in a nitrogen balloon.
Did Richard Branson get involved a little bit?
Dude, this is like black and white photos times when this happened. So these guys get into this thing and they think they can steer it using ropes they're dragging, but immediately like 2 of the ropes like fall off. I don't know what the balloon was made out of. It was giant. It had a net around it. They ended up nowhere near the North Pole, but way up where it was cold. They get out on the ice because, you know, they've ran out of it won't float anymore. They thought it would last 900 days. That was their initial estimate for how long it would stay aloft.
Ballsy.
It stayed at like 3 weeks or something like that. They ended up like on this ice pack, and then that broke away from the mainland and started floating away. So they're hunting polar bear, and they're eating. There are very few polar bear out on the ice, but they're shooting them and eating them, and they're eating the brains and the livers and everything, and like sea life, their livers are full of like vitamin A or some shit. You can't eat those. So like they're getting like vitamin A poisoning from the seals and the bears.
Taylor, you knew that already?
Yeah, I knew from a documentary. They were like talking about how if you eat too much liver, it poisons you. Like, well, from polar bears specifically, because of how much vitamin A accumulates in their liver.
And what an obscure piece of knowledge that both of you have. Hey, careful. Not too much polar bear liver.
Not any.
Keep it reasonable.
There's no room on my plate for a bit of polar bear liver that'll ruin my macros. But anyway, they ended up fucking dying. Like they went up there and fucking died. Like I really like those videos of the disasters and stuff. There's so many of these dumbasses who are like, they'll get 3/4 of the way up a mountain, and then the weather will come in, and they'll be like, "We can do it," and it's like, dude, come back tomorrow or the next day or next week. They always die. I
want to know what the forecast they saw was. That I judge that a lot. Again with the motor stuff, but yeah, in flight sometimes we just got caught in bad weather. What can you do? You can check the forecast. I want to know what the forecast said when you made that call. Yeah, and then I'll judge you.
I mean, back then, the forecasts now aren't even that great. But back then, were they?
Well, Kyle mentioned he switched it to mountain climbing. So,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're going back and forth between.
I was screaming about my dogs wanting them to shut the fuck up. I
don't know. I wish that there were more shows like that, because that's the shit I like. I like that life-threatening, like disaster type stuff. I like seeing how people found the will to get out of that stuff, whether they had to cut their hand off or just march through the desert way beyond what they should have been doing. And they talk about hallucinating and hearing things, and it's fucked. Like the guy who had to walk, and so far he lost all of his toes. He was hallucinating that his wife's ghost was there urging him on, and he thought his wife had died. He thought that meant his wife was dead and that only the baby remained behind. And so he's like, I gotta go.
That's such a scary situation to imagine yourself in.
Yeah. And he got himself into it. Like when you watch like the first 15 minutes of every episode, you're like, well, you deserve anything you get.
Well, there's a reason that all of the episodes are like that, and it's not like on a Sunday, Bear Grylls went out for a week-long expedition. Being an expert, he packed exactly enough supplies, and he left safely 7 days later after finding a safe way to survive long-term. Like, these people are guys who like probably went to a subreddit about outdoorsing, bought a bunch of expensive shit, and then took their brand new sneakers out to be the Wild Boys. Like, I would imagine. Because that's just retarded. You have to be a stone cold. Because the one where it was like they were in a blizzard and they got lost on the road, that one is way more understandable than, I decided to go on a cross ocean expedition with no experience whatsoever.
Yeah, I saw one where the guy was there. Oh, he was in some country, some third world jungle country, there to like get rid of mines. For the UN or something like that. He actually had an independent organization that demines war zones. And he's an American white guy. No, a British white guy in this third world fucking country. And they get kidnapped by, who was Pol Pot? Where was that at?
That was in Cambodia.
That's where he is. He's in fucking Cambodia. And like Pol Pot's like child soldiers, or not child soldiers. There are child soldiers, but his military fucking captures them. and him and his like workers, and they don't understand that he's an independent organization. He's got a translator, but everybody that he talks to is real pissed that he's there, and they're talking about torturing them to death and killing them. And like every step of the way, he's like manipulating them. He's such a smart guy. He's like, so I just thought right away, I couldn't let them treat me like I was a regular prisoner. I was a white man in this country. I was a British man, and that still meant something to these people, maybe. He's like, whether you like it or not, I used it. So when they told me to walk into the river and see if it was too deep for the truck, I refused. And I said that they should send one of his men, and they did. It's like whenever they told me I had to come with them, I said it was against the rules of my organization. And they would think about it a minute, and they'd be like, no, you have to. But they thought about it for a minute, and he was sort of getting into their head that he was to be treated as an
equal. It does seem like a reasonable rule.
So, and there was a part, he's like a long distance runner. That's his thing. So like there's a part where they let him go take a bath, and like, I guess they were respectful of his privacy. So they like let him go around the way and like strip down. He's like bathing himself in the river, and he's thinking like, if I run, they'll never catch me. I can run up this river. It leads all the way back to town. I run marathons. It would be nothing for me to knock out 10 or 15 miles up this riverbank. But if I leave, they're going to kill all my little Cambodian friends. Oh. And then they interview one of his little Cambodian buddies, and he's like, John, he a brave man. He could have left. Many people would leave me. Many people I know would leave me. John would not leave me.
I like a stand-up guy.
He goes, John is a brave man. And I was like, yeah, he is. And John ends up like he literally befriends the like head poobah of the death squad, and like has a nice meal with him where they give him beer and like their best food, and then they like send child soldiers to escort him out of like the war zone. Like he used like
that's
his
what
power,
you would
persuasion,
do,
and his.
That's how Kyle would handle it.
Yeah, that's what I do. Just what John did.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I would try to, but I don't
he
know
would
how that
charm
would
the head poobah and get it done.
Dude, I'd be like, it's a 15-mile run.
I'd have ran up that I tell you what, I'd have ran up that fucking river and left those Cambodians behind. That's what I'd have probably.
We need to combine our forces. I think I would have stayed behind, but lacked the charm.
Even
you would have ran, but had the charm.
Even John
together, we can save these people.
He was like, human beings, when we get down to it, are very selfish, and I really wanted to run up that river and leave them behind. Like he was really weighing whether he should abandon these guys. That's a really fucking brave, valiant is a better word. That's a valiant way to behave. He then he got blown up by a mine a couple years later in a different country. In a different country, it blew his right leg off and his right arm. Oh, he's okay. So he got a prosthetic leg.
Not on the Kyle spectrum.
So then he got a prosthetic. Hear me out here, because this is how hardcore he is. He got a prosthetic leg and a prosthetic hook arm, and he competed in that thing where they run 7 marathons back to back to back in the Sahara. And but that just depends on how charged your electric wheelchair is. No, he's running with his prosthetic leg through the Sahara Desert.
The bionic leg, he cheated.
Yeah. Oh, it does not look a good leg. Pirates with better gear. It wasn't a blade leg. They hadn't come out with that yet. He's in the sand. He's just like a stump.
So it was a big inflatable tire.
No, that guy was awesome. That was another hero. I shouldn't be alive, guys. I don't know what his name. John Grisham. John
Grisham. Yeah, he wrote the Pelican Brief.
That was a quick read. I remember liking that book in school. Was it Into the Wild? Chris McCandless, the guy,
the one where the guy dies in the woods.
I made a video about that guy.
Really?
Did he?
I remember
poison potatoes or something?
There's a lot of theories. You're talking about why he died, right?
Yeah,
that's one of the main theories, the poison potatoes, where there was a kind of like beetroot in the area that he ate that there was like a specific strain of that would make you sick or whatever. I mean, really what killed him was that it got a lot colder than he was expecting. But
I thought you were going to say pride.
Yeah. I mean, In essence, it's like Chris McCandless is an interesting one. He didn't really value his life as far as like the actual living or like the longevity of it. He was very clear in his writings that he just valued the experience, like to do something others haven't.
My favorite of his writings is that sign he left by his van that says, "Please fucking help if you find this. Not a joke. God save me. Very weak. Can't hike out. Foraging for berries." It's something like that.
Bears are salivating.
Yeah, it says like, if I'm not here, I'm out foraging. Please. Yeah.
Did he?
His journal's so sad. Like the last few days of his life. Like, oh man, breaks my heart,
I don't know his story very well, but I choose to believe his journal has story after story of him diddling himself in honor of Aunt Frank.
I can't spare the liquid, but let's shake one out.
Load's getting smaller and smaller.
I'll forage tomorrow. It's me day.
down to my last bottle of lock and load.
Yeah, that I just remember like that guy wasn't a wildlife survival expert. It would be like me going out there and starting a journal and being like, day 1, I'm avoiding the very colorful plants, but I'm starting to get hungry. It's like day 1, hour 4. Hunger's setting in.
I haven't seen a sun barbecue in
hour.
The 20-piece nugget I brought with me is running low.
What, don't you just hate it when you get a 20-piece, but they only give you one dipping sauce? And who thought that warm ranch was a good dipping sauce? I wish I had service. I'd give them 1 star.
That's basically what his fucking book was. Just fail after fail. We're going to hunt for rabbits today. Those fuckers are quick.
The craziest thing is while he was in, he took pictures on a handheld camera. All he had with him was a .22 rifle. While he was in Alaska, he killed a moose. And he like took pictures with it. Like how on earth was this guy like hiding in a tree? And he dropped down on it.
You'd have to shoot it in the fucking head or the heart or something.
Yeah.
Like I don't even. I've never seen a moose in person, but I understand from the internet that they are colossal beyond.
They're like their back's like 7 feet high. Yeah,
they can fuck.
So I don't know if a .22 rifle can cut through enough thick muscle to get to the heart of a goddamn moose. So you might have to shoot it in the eye. I don't know, because if you hit its skull at the wrong angle, I think it'll literally skim off. Like it'll just ride under the skin and dink off its head. I mean, look at that. Gosh. Because parts of its skull are extra armored by the antlers and where they grow under the skin. Shooting that thing effectively and killing it with a .22 rifle, let's say we've got 5 shots, not 50. Yeah, it's not like a Ruger. If we got a Ruger 1022 with like a box magazine,
I think he had a
bolt
action.
A bad day.
I think he had a bolt action.
Bolt action would be like in the video games when you try to do something like that, and you anger it and it kills you, or more likely it just run away and you'd never see or hear of it again.
Yeah,
it would be.
It's like a crazy accomplishment to get the job done. I mean, slowly, but
where? Oh, it'd run away.
You hit it in the eye or like the side of the head.
How far would it get with a bullet through its lungs?
I think. I'm pretty sure Chris
a long way with a .22 bullet through its lung. It would run beyond it. You'd never find it. Like I've shot deer and lost them, with a bow hunting. And that was a deer. This thing will run further than a deer.
I can run upwards of 8 miles an hour. That won't keep up with a moose.
I think Chris
in the wilderness. And what if you catch it?
That's a wolf on the right. Like that.
Yeah, and those wolves are pretty big.
With a collar.
Yeah, the people keep pet wolves up there. That's a thing you can do. Chris, I'm pretty sure he killed it with a knife, if I recall correctly.
Really?
Which, good on him. What
I have seen that's really big? Bison. I've seen those in person.
Those are huge, yeah.
Yes, I've seen those too. Yeah. I think maybe in the Smoky Mountains they have like a nature reserve park thing, and they have bison there, perhaps.
Yeah.
I may have been to the same place, but I've also saw them when I did that motorcycle trip on the Tat. They're just wild. Like they're free grazing bison.
And out in Texas, I've seen a bunch of, I don't even know the names of the various, the things that aren't antelopes, but kind of are. Exactly. So according to like childhood like science or science class, there's antelope and buffalo. Let's move along. there's like 50 species of hooved animal in Africa, and so that dude had that's a kudu, and that's a Himalayan kudu. You see how its horns are black and spiral? It's like all these weird
fast and jumpy
or something
deer.
like that. That's what his name's. So many different kinds of weird goats and deer and stuff there that I've seen. The coolest thing was that fucking camel. I wanted that camel. It was $8,000. What are you gonna do with a camel, though?
Where'd you see a camel for sale?
$8,000 and then keeping
Texas.
it alive is $1,000 a month.
Yeah, you can. So for $8,000, you could shoot it, and like that's what it's. If you wanted to, because it's on a hunting preserve. It's like if you want to,
camel hunting. That's
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Are they even good to eat?
Oh,
Sure.
delicious! It's
What
the
was
most
the camel's
succulent
name?
meat in Arabia.
Probably, but are they
They
good?
say a sultan would trade 5 slave
Yeah, right.
for a camel steak. It's camel. I mean,
I don't know.
Be good.
Horse
I
is
don't fucking
probably
know.
good, and it's just like a shittier horse.
Yeah, I don't know. I
still think horse would be awful.
dry.
I've thought
dry,
yeah. I guarantee you, it's like jerky texture. It
What's
cannot
in
be
the
that
hump
good.
of a
Really?
camel?
Water.
Is it just fat?
It's fat. Yeah,
It's fat
yeah.
It's not
with
water.
a lot of.
No, I'm
There's-
sorry. I'm
Do you think
sorry,
it was
Kyle.
like a canteen?
Yeah, I thought it was like a canteen. I mean, I didn't think it was literally like you could pop the side of it with a straw.
It sounds
But
like
I
you
thought
did.
it was some sort of.
Yeah, you thought that.
I was like,
Kyle was so impressive with
I
the
didn't
hour
think
thing
that it was
when he
like a
dropped the
straw.
ball with the camel.
You're having your own chickens don't fuck moment. Yeah, just-
That'll never happen. You still don't know where chickens come from.
I'm
Nobody
almost
does.
Vertical
positive
titties.
they come from eggs.
Zach says they're vertical titties, and I'm
No,
going with
they're
that.
not mammary. They're not mammary glands. Those
Oh,
are still
they
on
are.
their belly.
They
no,
are.
no.
They are. Yes.
Don't
If you're
try
out
that
in the
either,
desert,
Kyle.
yes,
Don't
they
try
are.
that. They will not like
For a
it.
while, maybe.
They like it when you. So but the camel's name was Sushi, and it was like sushi, and the fucking thing would come running like a dog, and you could feed it carrots.
And you
It
wanted
was
to shoot
pretty-
it?
No, I wanted to own it. I wanted
Oh,
to
okay.
like live at my dad's farm, and like I wanted to go.
I thought you
They
said it was
probably
on a
lived to
hunting
be like
preserve.
50.
It was, but he has his pets on the reserve too. you know,
Oh, okay. Well, that's a
it's
horrible
wildlife
idea. Why leave your pets on a hunting reserve?
Well, no,
That's-
but all right, let me just say this: if you accidentally shoot the camel, what the fuck? What the fuck, Dave? It's a cat. What were you here to shoot again, Mike? I forgot.
I thought that's what you were describing. I thought you were like,
were
it's a
here,
camel hunting trip.
Deer hunting.
Mike, you're
That's
not
what
going to
says
believe
here,
it.
Mike.
I just killed the craziest boar you've ever seen.
I think Zach's right about the vertical titties thing because I bit it without foreplay and it didn't go over
Yeah.
well.
Campbell was
Stop
definitely
lying.
mad. And for what I know of women, probably.
I don't know why you guys are down on horse meat. I bet horse meat tastes good. The French
No,
eat horses, and they're great
no.
at cooking.
Isn't the fat content?
Have you,
a big
for
part
one,
of
have
it,
you
the
had like
marbling?
French cuisine, like true French cuisine? That's
I have
such a,
never been
like-
to France.
I've had horse.
Yeah. It's like they're the people who thought eating live snails would be a great idea. Like,
I feel like that was just like arrogance on their part. Where they were like, "We're so good
They're
at
still
like
eating 'em.
cheeses and like desserts that we're gonna make snails good." And
They're still
they
eating
probably are good. I'd eat snails. I'd give them a go.
no,
You
no,
wouldn't?
no, I don't. I don't think I could bring myself. I don't
Do you
think I
like
could bring myself
oysters?
to eat anything alive. I do like
Yeah,
oysters.
I love oysters.
I would eat dead snails, but like the way I hear escargot traditionally served, they're always alive.
Oh, really?
fake.
I would prefer them to be dead. I thought
Wait.
they were all dead.
Oh, no. We're gonna
I've
bake
had
that
escargot. It was definitely not alive. I'm going to check that. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you don't want
I've
that
always
alive.
heard that traditional, like French escargot in the U.S. is cooked. I'd eat cooked escargot.
I would
Yeah, you want it
wager,
cooked.
and again, I only know what the YouTube people teach me. I would wager that snails carry some sort of weird parasites, and eating them raw, you could end up with some sort of a fucking worm in your brain that tells you that you're the devil.
Yeah, you
So
should cook
I'm
them.
going to only eat baked
And
escargot.
then we've got to get out the key of Solomon, and it's going to be a whole deal. And it's yeah.
You have to go through it, make sure you're not possessed.
Imagine
Exactly,
if
yeah.
Wendigoon went crazy, like legitimately, like wearing clown makeup and showing up crazy. Okay, and that crazy utilized all of the weird darkness that he's read into, all of theology, all of the demonology, fictional and non-fictional. Not that some of it's real in the like brick and mortar way per se, but some of it was written
right
to be real. They're like, yeah, this is how I fucking call on demons, and it really was, you know. He could be a real scary guy. Like if he ever snapped and had that cold sweat down his brow moment where he's just sort of fucking twitching out, and that
you would.
Scary.
I googled it. I couldn't find any source that said they were served alive. They all talked about how they were like their intestines were cleared while they're still alive, and they're cooked alive, but not served alive.
Okay, all right.
I don't care about a snail being cooked alive. They don't even feel. They just feel fresh.
Just put that quick cement in their mouth.
Wait.
That's just air escaping.
Just air escaping.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather have horse than escargot anyway. Lots of cuts of lean meat are still good. Like, I'm not saying that horse would be.
You are on this horse train. You are staying on it, bro.
They use horse in sausages, like hard salami like sausages. Like they mix it in with pork and lamb or whatever in a lot of countries. I've had sausage, and then I was like, "Where'd this come from again?" I got like a sausage sampler, and it had horse meat in it. It said horse on the back, or maybe it didn't say horse, but it said like the food industry word for horse, and it was like, "Wait, what's that?
Equine.
What's that meat?" I don't know. I don't remember, but
I bet, Taylor, you live in a major city. You could get exotic food if you wanted.
I could get
meats.
some exotic meats. I would try horse. I don't even know how it's served. I doubt it's like horse steaks. I bet it's something else.
Zach, find us some horse steaks. I would like horse sausage, or like I could do sort of a charcuterie with, or maybe some sort of breakfast sausage that's like 50% horse, 30% pork, 20%. Just pork fat or something. I don't know.
I bet it looks almost exactly like a.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it,
I could eat a horse.
Thank you. I was like ragging on horse meat for being lean, but it can't be that much leaner than like deer meat, right?
I bet it's like the same level of lean as
nothing can be leaner than rabbit meat, though.
That's true, and rabbit can be pretty good. So.
Mm-hmm. You got to sauce up rabbit, though.
Maybe you've turned me around a little bit, Taylor. Maybe I'll go hunt a horse.
That's not how you eat a brace of conies.
Most fish are pretty good. You don't like catfish, I know. You think it's not a quality fish, and it's not a quality fish. That's why you fry the shit out of it. It's good.
I like catfish a lot. I
must be confusing.
With fucking lemon and tartar sauce and shit. Yeah, it's delicious.
Hush puppies, some green onions,
all those things. Yeah, it's really good stuff. Yeah. I like that shit. I don't know. I'm not huge into fish though, so if like there weren't any more, I think I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm not huge into swimming in the ocean because I don't want to die to a shark. I know the chances are very low, but I just don't want to be a part of that.
Also, that water's salty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They need to do something about that before I'm getting in there.
Yeah. It stings my eyes, man. I don't
just
one your eyes.
Yeah.
It's not very clear. They need to make it clear and not salty, like a pool.
Like a pool.
Mm.
I don't know why anyone would get in the ocean when pools exist.
Can we just fill the ocean with chlorine?
Yeah, we should.
I would
just make a nice. Now everyone can just have a nice, healthy swim, and that chlorine is going to make sure that we don't have that pesky algae problem we were having. Yeah,
and we have more sharks and groupers.
Yeah.
We're going to need to find like a chlorine meteor in space to get enough to do anything. Sending Team 5 of the chlorine miners in memory of the first 4.
Yeah, maybe I would like the ocean more if I'd grown up closer to it and I'd done more stuff on it. But I hate it. The idea of going to the beach like stresses me a little. It's like,
the beach is nice. You don't have to get in. You can just enjoy the beach.
I'll get sand
my grandfather and my auntie drowned, and so every time I'm like there, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm fine.
How did they drown?
So my
were they
cousin.
Together?
Yes, yeah. So my auntie was swimming, and then my cousin was swimming, and then got caught in a rip, And then my grandfather and my auntie swam out together. And my grandfather brought her back and then swam back out to save my auntie because she was struggling. They both drowned. So I'm like, yeah, I'm good. 1991. So
I really wanted you to say yesterday so bad.
Yesterday? No.
Oh, I guess it was about noon.
It's funny because my great granddad drowned as well, and so I'm just like, nah, that's a curse. I am not fucking going on the ocean.
You're a smart man. You shouldn't be rolling the dice. Is your dad
it's
a swimmer?
But my dad is like really into the ocean. Like he builds racing yachts. And has had times before. He had a racing yacht capsize and got washed like fucking like 100 kilometers and got picked up by a ferry. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? I remember talking to him about it, and he's like, I wasn't worried. I could tread water forever. And my gran was there at dinner, and my gran's like, that's what your father said.
Holy shit!
Wow, that's a dark side, gran. Thanks, yeah.
Gran just coming from the top rope. That's what your stupid father said.
Yeah. So they love it, and like my mum and dad have a boat, and they go out all the time. I'm just like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Your dad's dancing with the devil here.
He is. Yeah,
I can't believe the kind of risks that he takes in his profile, in his lifestyle. It's not cool.
Yeah,
I mean, but Woody, if you had a history of aviation deaths in your family, we'd say the same thing. Your father, like if your grandpa was the guy who was doing that pedaling thing with the spiral on top and black and white, and just going up, kind of shaking it, and that killed him.
Yeah.
There's a show on Netflix called Alone. It's a reality show.
Oh yeah, I've watched that.
10 different contestants, and they throw them into northern Canada to survive. And the last one to tap out and quit wins. I think it's how much money is it? It's like 100,000, 500,000. It's a significant amount of money. And so these people are not average Joes. They are survival experts. So when they show up, they're not like, wonder what I should do. They're like, first thing I'm going to do is start setting the traps, and then I'm going to start on the log cabin. And they build cabins. They take a saw and they saw down trees that are like 3 to 6 inches in diameter, and they make cabins. They're laying them up. One lady makes a dugout. This little British lady who's like 40, 50. She's like made a dugout and then built a cabin roof over it, and she can't find any meat. So she has been living for months only on vegetables, eating berries and making like root teas. She's lost like 30 pounds. Alone. It's on Netflix.
Oh, it's like Survivor.
I did see that.
Survivor, but good.
The one guy showed up obese, like very obese. That's just fuel. He got to bring a bushel of food. So he's down 60 fucking pounds. And he's like,
Hatch style.
He's like, you think I'm ready? He's like, they have to record themselves. And he's like, today, he's filthy, by the way. He didn't wash his face for the first 50 days. So he's recording himself, and he's like, today's the day I tap out. Nah, I'm just kidding. I got more weight to lose.
So was anybody else pissed? Now. Were any other contestants like this? Come on, the big fucking.
Well, they don't see each other. There's no interaction. Yeah. They're all in their own areas. They're all getting like harassed by grizzly bears.
Are they getting any kind of status updates?
With what?
Like, do they know maybe there's 7 competitors left?
Yeah, they get stuff like that, and they've got like an emergency thing. So like, one guy.
No, they don't get told. They don't get told.
I don't know if they get told or not.
No, they don't get
what
told.
I saw was the good part was when the guy is going to tap out early, and he'd been talking a big game, and he's crying, and like this grown man is crying, and it reminded me of those guys in 60 Days In that quit in like intake.
Yeah,
because I can't tell if he's being fake or not about if he's just bitching out or if he actually has chest pains or what his deal is. But what he did was he was so scared of bears, he spent the first 3 days building shelter and just starved himself to like low blood sugar, and then his chest started hurting and he tapped out. So they come and get you out of there.
How epic was the shelter? Was it bear proof?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he built a little cabin. They build these log cabins out there. They're pretty impressive. The one guy,
most of
the one guy,
like bitch have no meat when there's grizzlies all over the place.
This one guy killed a deer with a bow right away, and he smoked the deer. He made a smoker.
That guy seems like he's well in the lead. He
smoked the deer, but he's like, that deer ain't gonna last me all winter. I gotta find something else. The other guy's finding mushrooms. He's got this big hoard of mushrooms he's picked, and he catches the squirrels getting at his mushrooms and running off with them. So what does he do? He follows the squirrels home, climbs up in their tree, and takes all of their mushrooms
and kills them. Probably.
This guy's cool. Alone? I want to see this.
Like,
yeah, it's fun.
They can take like 10 items with them, and one thing that I always like, I always look at it and I'm like, why do none of them take hunting rifles? Hey,
Ooh.
They probably have rules.
is that against the? Because that's like the first thing I would take.
It's definitely against
like,
the rules.
308.
Because where they were, I know in this season, they weren't allowed to shoot, I think, the bear, and they weren't allowed to shoot something else. And it was at a certain point, they're like, all right, the season that allows you to use nets for fish is open in Canada. Now you may use your nets. And so they're using these gill nets, which are like those nets, I guess you either cast or like leave set up, and they're all getting tangled. And it's just like, let's check the net today. The fat guy's like, I don't even want nothing to be in the net. Today'd be a good day to burn a little fat. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I don't need no food today. I hope there ain't a fish in there. Oh God, I hope there's a fish in there. Yeah.
It was
like
in the
it's funny,
first season.
it
There's one dude that just eats kelp. He just fucking canes it. It's like, fuck, that would be
Are there multiple
disgusting.
seasons of Alone, or are we all talking about the same season?
Yeah. Well, I've only
the
watched
same.
the newest season. I clicked that one because I'd never heard of the show.
I think
I've
there's
been
like
watching
6 seasons, something like that.
new
It's a lot.
location every time, so it's but the one I'm watching, they're in Canada. It's cold as fuck, and they're just trying to not starve to death and grind it out until they're the last one standing.
I might watch this. I've got some extra time on my hands.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking about things to suggest to you to do since I've
been writing them down.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of reality TV, and when I do, it is
reality
like,
TV.
I usually do something that's either, I think of that reality TV as like popcorn shit in the background, so it's usually Gordon Ramsay yelling at people, or we found this show recently on Netflix called Alone that's about survival contest where you take like, I don't know how many, let's call it 10 survival experts, you scatter them throughout the wilderness in, let's say, Alaska. Last one to quit gets $500,000. and the months go by, and it's
Dude,
rough.
Alone is
it's
neat
weird.
because, like Kyle said, they're experts, right? I saw another show, I think Naked and Afraid, and the goal is to last 21 days. The thing is, you can starve for 21 days. You find a water source, and you'll pretty much stay alive. You find minimal food, sure, you're going to come out the other end pretty beat up, but you're going to live.
You're going to be looking sexy.
Yeah. If you're up against survival experts, you're going 65 days, 75 days, 100 days in there. You have, and the structures they build are impressive. These are log cabins with chimneys and hammocks and shit like that. On Naked and Afraid, 21 days, they're like, well, I guess I can just lay on a pile of leaves for a while, make it by. They're in for the long haul, these survival experts. I've been watching Survivor. I saw season like 7 and 37 or something like that.
There's so many seasons.
Yeah.
37. I didn't know. Like, they must be doing a couple seasons a year to get to that number.
Have to be.
Hasn't been that many years.
Survivor is a good show. So obviously, like, some of it, like, the audio is too good. I'm like, as a guy who's made videos, I'm like, this audio is outstanding. And both of them are shirtless. That tells me that there's a boom mic hanging over them. Yeah, there's an audio guy with the mic hanging over them while they're whispering to each other. So if it's not staged, it's at least they know they're not private, and that taints the interaction. So I'm always like,
well, they don't mind the camera. The
cameraman's keeping their secret, but
it was always the premier reality show, in my opinion. It was like S-tier reality.
It has changed in a good way, I think.
Okay.
So originally, like season 1, you thought that it was about the ability to survive. And then by the end of the first season, you realize that, oh, you know what? Modern day survival skills include alliance building and manipulation and lying and stuff. Like, that's Richard Hatch was the best survivor on that island. He wasn't the best at catching fish, but you know what? Zombie apocalypse, Richard Hatch maybe runs that show. Or I think his name, Richard Hatch. He won the first season. Now, people are looking ahead, and like when they vote someone off, the last 8 or 12, I think it's 12 people now, get on the jury and decide who wins. So it's like, Drifter, I'm voting you off, but man, it hurt my soul to do it. I loved you so much. I know we all lied to you and made you think you weren't about to get voted off, but that's not who I really am. You should love me so that when you're on the jury, you secretly like me. And like, that's part of playing the game.
Mhm.
Also, when the jury looks at who wins, they all know this is a devious game. If you make it to the end and you're not a fucking cocksucking asshole, then they're like, Drifter played kind of a weak game, but Taylor over there made major moves. He's the guy that got Carl out, and we all thought he was a juggernaut. And he's the guy that got Lewis out, and no one thought he wasn't going to make it to the final three. Taylor's a player in this thing, mover and shaker. No one's a bigger asshole. He wins. And so now people are building their Survivor resume along the way. Like, I got to make moves. I need the jury to know that I'm a bigger asshole than the rest of these people.
That's a whole different metagame.
Yeah, the metagame has evolved. And also
that makes more sense. That's better. Like if you wouldn't want to as a viewer see the winner be some guy who was like, shh, I'm not going to talk. Like you would want everybody to be like, yeah, you bested me, so you get my vote.
That's how it goes. And let's say that I'm very good at the game in this scenario. I want to drag along a few people that we viewed as non-threats. So I vote a threat off, I vote a threat off, I vote a threat off. And at the end, it's me and 2 lamos, and I get my win. And it's because I know damn well, if I don't get you off now, you're going to beat me in the final 3. And
it's $1 million prize?
$1 million
like
for
that?
first place,
Okay.
nothing for second.
Oh,
like, yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Right? It's so hardcore.
You would like this Russian Survivor show that never came out. They tried to do one. It was kind of like Survivor and Naked and Afraid, and it was like the last one that quits. But the producer was kind of crummy, and he's like, hey, we're going to be in Siberia, so if somebody dies, there's not exactly police around. And like contestants started killing each other, and the Russians shut it down, and it never came out.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus
Who won?
Yeah.
So
No, everybody lost. They all got charged with murder. It was like on camera and stuff. That was so stupid.
That went poorly.
Crazy.
Damn, that's going to be a great like 30 for 30 style documentary.
And then here's the thing that happens on a lot of reality shows, right? I watch it and I'm like, oh, you're making this mistake. I could do this better. I could do that better. In some cases, it's true, but I'm forgetting that I have the benefit of I'm God watching like aerial shots of the camps and stuff. And I've heard your private conversation. So of course I make better decisions than you. I have more information than you. In Survivor, I watch this and routinely think these people are all better than me. They're all smarter than me. They're all more clever than me. They're like catching fish with spears and shit, and they're working hard. The structures they build, I'm like, I would lose this game. I would be Dan over here. There's a guy who fell in love with a girl, and dude, she hit it back, and it's a showmance, right? These guys are deep in love.
Would you be on it?
Would I be on it?
If the Survivor team, you just got boom in your email tomorrow, an offer to be on the show the next season, whenever they're filming, would you do it?
You gotta.
Yeah, I think so. I have to talk to Jackie, but
you should apply then. It's open applications.
Though. I can tell you I'd get my ass kicked. These people.
So what? Everybody would love to see you on the show.
Would totally fall into the showmance. The hypothetical single me. I see these guys. Of course, the girls are all beautiful, right? And it's like, oh, you're on an island for 39 days. What are you gonna wear? Bikini. And they're like huddling together for warmth. It's an environment that would make people fall in love. And the guys are like dopey love, and the girls are like, I got Dan wrapped around my finger. Yeah. He's gonna vote anyway I tell him to. And I'm like, fuck, you're bad or good. I don't know.
But you won't fall for that.
No. That particular thing I'd be immune to, but I'm not. I watched one guy. He got busted lying to everybody, right? And I watched a girl. She was working the jury, right? She was like, hey, you just want to let you know everyone's going to vote against you. And then she did too. She lied, backstab, but she was working the jury. And when they caught her working the jury, she was like, what? No, I didn't say that. She's telling you weird lies. It looked terrible for her. She should have come clean. Mm-hmm. The other guy that lied to everyone, his name was Mike. And he's like, you know what? I've told the truth 90% of the time. That's pretty good for Survivor. And everyone is like, Yeah, that's true. Okay. All is forgiven. And it was like, oh, he handled it so well. He's a social genius. Kyle would do well at survival. He's a high EQ.
His body fat's too low. He's got to put on some pounds before he goes.
Dude, it's a problem to look
about.
There's a guy on season 37. He calls himself the mayor of Slamtown. He's a professional wrestler, and he takes people to Slamtown. And dude, he's really charismatic, and I liked him. But he got voted off fairly early because to look at him, he's a threat. You know, you're like, we got to get rid of this guy or he's going to win this thing. And then there was this nerdy guy who lasted way longer, and he kept auditioning for the position of Slamtown comptroller, and it was hilarious. He's like, yeah, that's the mayor of Slamtown right there. And that's not a great picture. He looked better, I felt like, most of the time, just in his natural. But it's useful to have him on his team. There's a lot of competitions that are like, hey, hold this heavy thing above your head or prevent this heavy thing from touching the ground. And it's like, all right, Slamtown, you do that. We're going to be solving puzzles while you do it.
The big jacked guys, like I haven't watched as much, Survivor as you, I guess, but I've watched a couple seasons. Those guys get picked out quick. Like they'll be like, oh, that guy, he's a threat. And it's like, you haven't even talked to Big Joe over there. He could just be a dummy who doesn't know what he's doing. But it's like, it's almost like an agreement where it's like, that guy's shredded. I know I'm safe because I'm not shredded like him. And so everybody gloms onto just the most obvious visual, like, superior in their eyes. Like, oh, that guy's going to best me in all the competitions.
So I need to watch right. And there's an actual, now I'm good about like the strategy of it. Oh, Zach says he's a WWE star. I thought he was on lesser wrestling, but in any case, what you want to do is have a strong team before the merge. So there's like two tribes, and then as they get smaller and smaller, eventually you merge. When there's two tribes, your entire tribe gets immunity. Once we merge, it's every man for himself. So if you win the immunity challenge, it only applies to you. So it's like you somehow want your team to be strong while cutting out all the best players right before the merge, because those best players now, they're going to win all the immunity challenges and stay alive. So like you want them to keep your team alive while also getting cut off right before they do. It's conflicting. Anyway, Survivor's a really good show. I didn't realize it. I thought it was a stupid reality show. And while there's certainly elements that I'm sure they're pulling the wool over my eyes, like, when they find the immunity idol, I'm like, try to tell me he didn't find that an hour ago, then they reenacted it.
It's set up.
Yeah.
You ever see, there's a new reality show people are watching kind of in the so bad it's good way. It's called The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. It's on Netflix. It's like a paranormal investigator show. It's like, imagine the most incompetent team of paranormal investigators you've ever seen, a whole army of people with thick Southern accents. And they're so bad, they get hurt like every episode. Somebody falls, somebody has a heat stroke. One dude, he's like, yeah, my head just started swelling for no reason. He's got like this big lump up here. It's like, it must have been the alien energies that we can't detect. And it's like the worst reality show I've ever seen, but it's also hilarious at the same time to just watch them go try to find aliens and get hurt.
just incompetent idiots just can't find the ghosts.
Yeah. It's like respectfully older guys, like bigger, heavier set, 50 plus conspiracy theorists. And they're like, yeah, we'll get better signal up on top of that there mountain. Let's walk up there. And, 300 yards later, they're all done.
Maybe the side of the mountain has good signal.
Yeah, if they want to be found, they'll come to us. I'm more of a ghost trapper.
Yeah.
I can't get into the paranormal shows because I know they're all horse shit. They've been looking for a decade or more. Like they've had an organized TV show that's been looking for ghosts for over a decade, and they haven't found shit. Okay, that tells me there are no goddamn ghosts. That, or they don't want to be found, in which case that means there are no goddamn ghosts, because you can't find one sure, ghosts are real. You just can't see them or detect them in any meaningful way.
Yeah, right. Well, then that means it doesn't matter if they're real or not. You can't interact.
There you go.
And I like all the bits he does before the show that are so out of date, where he's like, "What's the deal with car phones? You're not busy enough driving. You have to call people." Like, and it's like 1993. Everybody's like, "So true." Like
some of the stuff is a little out. I mean, smartphones kill Seinfeld. You can't have that great like missed stars, missed ships in the night kind of thing that they all often toy with if everybody's got a fucking cell phone. It just doesn't work anymore.
But they just have to like write it so that people don't have cell phone like Sunny. Like Sunny came about in an age where cell phones were fully there. And so many Sunny episodes would be solved just like Seinfeld episodes if people just had a call and discussed their miscommunication, but they don't. Just, you know what I mean?
I suppose to some extent, it's a real issue with all like fiction is cell phones, because cell phones fix so many of the inciting events that you would have in traditional storytelling. It's like the whole thing about being on your own and getting hurt and then having to go through a survival experience. Does he have a phone? Yep. Problem solved. Like the end. You know,
or like every survival movie now, you're 100% right about that. Every survival movie now, they have to have like a split cut scene where before the survival situation, they drop their phone or it breaks.
Or no service.
Or yeah, I mean, no service is believable when you're in a survival. Like the 100, what was that one with James Franco? 127 hours?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that actually happened. So like,
yeah,
that happened to that poor guy. God, that sucks.
I would have just died.
I'd like to think I'd have cut my hand off, but
no, he did his whole arm. I thought he did his arm.
He had to do most of his arm. It's like halfway to the elbow or something like that because of the way it was pinned, and he had to be able to break it, and he had to cut wherever the break happened, and he wasn't super. I think it was already broken actually. Maybe he cut at the broke, but like it was the way it was pinned. I think the Rock had. It's not like he could go all the way in and get the part that was necessarily the stuck part. Like he had to cut some good arm off too.
Like the best part of your arm.
And that knife was not super sharp. I don't think. That's awful. I don't know how he survived that shit. I've never seen the movie. I just know of the event. I
have not seen the movie either. I was just referencing it because I don't know what the guy's name is. Who do you remember? Chris McCandless, that guy who went out into the woods and died in a bus because
yes, from the mushrooms.
From the mushroom. Oh yeah. No. Chris McCandless. I thought he died from like starving and freezing to death in a bus, like in the middle of the woods. I'm thinking
of a guy from the West Coast, I believe, maybe from Cali or Oregon or something, who went up to Alaska to do this survival thing in a bus or something like that. Ate some bad mushrooms when he was already he was trying to do a survivalist type thing, like live out there for a good period of time, but with like terrible. He didn't know what he was doing, and it wasn't just like that he didn't know which mushrooms to eat or not, which he obviously didn't. But also just like everything about what he was doing was he was making a lot of mistakes, and he died. He died out there.
There's a lot of stories like that.
Yeah, the most crazy one, of course, is the Grizzly Man, right? The guy who was like that really effeminate weirdo who was just up there like hanging out with grizzly bears, doing like the exact opposite of what every grizzly bear expert on the planet would ever tell you to do. He's just like, yeah, we're friends. We're friends now. And what it was, it's like, no, you're here at a part of the year when they have like a ton of trout. They're just every bear you see is stuffed with trout. Like he feels like 5 minutes after Thanksgiving dinner, and he's trying to be careful not to vomit up the turkey.
Yeah, he doesn't want to gain too much weight before hibernation.
He doesn't want to eat you. He is full. But then, like, as the season went on and the trout started going away, and I think it was like a beta bear or something like that was like underfed because it didn't have a good fishing hole, and it killed them both. I want to say because she was on her period, and the audio of it. I don't know if there's video of them being eaten. I hope there's not. I know it came from video.
Who would have taken the video?
He had a camera set up because he recorded all this shit.
Man, recording yourself being eaten to death,
eaten alive,
would be horrible.
Yeah, I believe that tape's never been seen by the public.
Remember to like and subscribe. As you're having the meat torn from your bones.
Some dude's disliking it out of spite.
I'm not paying into this GoFundMe for 2 new calves.
I'm so tired of these retirement videos. Just leave.
Wow, dickhead doesn't post for 2 years and then comes back asking for money for his torn legs. Which is basically what he is. Yeah, Timothy Treadwell. That was the Grizzly Man. And you're right. If you haven't watched videos of Timothy Treadwell dealing with grizzlies, it is really ballsy to watch how like a giant grizzly will come over and he'll be like, Timothy, or Aaron, this is my friend Aaron. He's a 11-foot grizzly. And look at him, he's coming at me angry. And he'd like smack him on the nose and be like, Aaron, get the hell away from here. What you trying to ruin my shot? he knows I'm just joking though. He knows it's just a game we play. Like that was he was almost like Tiger King-esque in his effeminate statements. But
he
even
was the Bear
crazier
King.
than the Tiger King, because the Tiger King at least knew he was a fraud on some level with tigers and kept them in a cage.
Yeah, I mean, he did get in those cages with him. Like I wish that guy would get let out, man. Like they're making that second season of Tiger
He's about
King.
to die, right?
Is he?
What?
What's wrong with him?
From what?
Let me check. I think he's sick, but I'm afraid I have it wrong.
I think it would have been a clear sign that we were in a parallel universe, that we like split off from the central
timeline.
finite curve. If he had released, if Trump had pardoned Joe Exotic.
So he has prostate cancer, but that's one of the more curable ones, right?
Well, a little radiation,
Yeah, I
maybe
think
even
it
have it removed
depends-
if you have to. Like as long
Depends
as
when
it
you catch it.
Depends on your level of
metastasize.
care. He may not be getting the best level of care given that he's a broke felon, but I don't know.
He can go fund me some prostate surgery. I'll chip in. Let's go.
I mean, I'm not going to chip in, but
You're not going to chip in. You'll mention it here.
I'll lie on the show and say I will. Yeah, I'll chip.
You got yeah, that's what I was going to do too.
Yeah, neither of us are chipping into that fucking retard's surgery.
I mean, I don't want him to die. I
Definitely
honestly,
not before season 2.
What I honestly wish would happen, like I got my magic wand. I want to see more of Joe Exotic.
Mm-hmm. He's
I
a
don't
fun
know.
guy.
Yeah, so I either want to see him in prison. What if they gave him a prison release program where he had to like run some sort of tiger place? Like I want to see him. Like I want to see more of him. I want to see a new show with Joe Exotic, but I don't want him.
Yeah.
He's an asshole, and he was terrible to the tigers. I struggle with this.
Yeah.
He kept his tigers in tiny little cages, and by the way, he kept like orangutans in tiny cages too, which I guess
hated
is
that.
particularly. Taylor, your soft spot for simians cracks me up. But anyway,
They're so sweet. I'm losing interest in Reddit as well, Woody.
yeah,
Like it's just like I don't go as deep as you guys. Like so, if Woody's getting tired of it, you've seen 10 times as much as I have. One that I do like recently, as I've been going to the r/survival and like reading stuff about like people. Yeah, I ordered a book off of Amazon. Let me see what it was. I can check. I ordered a book off of Amazon about like survival techniques, and I figured like I don't have time to go camping all the time, but a lot of this is like just little techniques that you can do like in your own backyard to like get quick with a fire starter, or like figure like a fire pit out, or like do something like that.
I mean this
like,
in the nicest way possible. I hope your car gets stuck in a blizzard someday. I think you'd like it.
and I have all my stuff there where it's like, oh no.
It just so happens that my knife has a fire starter built into the hammer on the tail end of it. This is what I trained for.
Yeah.
Couldn't we just walk to that IHOP? Yeah.
No, we have to build a fire and hunt for rabbits.
You know what
No,
I'm
really,
like,
it's
the
it's
survival
right
show
there.
is super interesting. Like I love watching it. Like I've watched the whole, primitive technology or whatever, and there's like a million spin-offs of that now. By spin-off, I don't mean worse. Some of them are better. Like they're very good, but I've been watching more like modern day stuff, like because if I watch those videos and like read shit for the rest of my life, and then you throw me in the Sahara, I'm dead. Like it doesn't matter how many fucking Bear
You might
Grylls
die more
things
slowly.
I watched.
I have faith
I might
in
die
you.
slowly, but I'm watching the ones where the people have like state of the art or like at least modern day gear, and they're kind of like, now what you want to do here, make sure you hammer this post in further than you would think, because you wouldn't think about it, but this creates torque when you're building the table here, or whatever the fuck it is. And so I don't know, it's like one of those
They
things
talk
where
in these videos.
they explain it. It's like It's Always Sunny, where they interview that old woman, and they're like, well, on off days I like to read cookbooks. I don't even know how to cook. And she does that. Like, that's what I'm doing. I don't know how to survive in the wild, but I'm having a lot of fun trying to figure it out.
You know what I'm doing but haven't done yet? I don't know how to phrase something I haven't done yet. Sewing. Like I never got into sewing. It was never my thing. I always thought it was like gay or not for guys. And
It's an important survival thing.
forgive me, I'm old, but that was like a thing. Like if you learned to sew in like 1982, you would think that I'll never use this after this class. And that's where I am.
Yeah. Learning to sew, be self-sufficient. The grid goes down and you're going to be fine. Not for me.
That's right.
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm
Have
sorry.
you been reading my mind?
When do you need to sew?
If you're in the wilderness and there are two pieces of fabric that need to be put together, and you've got string and twine, and you need to be able to sew, Kyle.
You need to go back about 3 seconds in this anecdotal scenario. What are these two fabrics, and why do I need them attached to one another?
They're essential
'Cause they're
for so
half
many
the size
reasons
of
I
a
can't
hammock.
begin to list. It's 2 halves of a hammock.
Why don't I just use my hammock?
You don't have that. It's been taken
I
by.
have half a dozen
it's
hammocks
been, it's
in a
been,
rucksack.
No. It's
I've
not
cut
true.
all your
It's been-
hammocks in half and given you thread and needles.
Yeah, raiders have raided, and they've taken your hammocks and they've stolen your automatic
They've
sewing
griefed
machine.
all of my hammocks.
They've
Uh-huh.
griefed all your hammocks, and now all you have is a blue tarp. And out of spite, they cut that into 4 pieces. Oh no,
Bastards.
I can't make a shelter out of this. There's no. It won't
You
keep
have
the
half a
water
dozen
out.
hammocks, but banditos have come and stolen half of each of your half dozen.
Couple
Warn
of
me of this.
a couple of bad hombres.
Bad hombres came, cut all my hammocks up.
No, I
No,
have a
it's
couple
cool,
little
the survival
projects in
shit.
mind that I'm going to start. We bought a heavy duty sewing machine. It can do leather. It was only $130. It's cheap.
Okay,
singers.
well, that's cool. See, if you're sewing leather together, that's not sewing. That's upholstering.
It turns out that like your typical sewing machine that that your wife might have, that my wife does have, can't even do like some of the heavier canvases and stuff. Like it's really about like the shirt that you have on right now. And so we found a heavy duty sewing machine that just happened to be on super sale. And I had talked to him. It seems like every time I need to sew something, Jackie tells me that her machine can't do that.